Perfect, perfect.
And she's like a massive history buff.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'm getting all of my like kind of names and dates down, but I like the kind of story aspect of it and like understanding the narrative of his life and that kind of thing. So, Justin Morrill, Stratford native, as you probably are familiar with, son of a blacksmith. He had 10 siblings, only 5 survived until adulthood, and local to the town here. He was working at age 15. He stopped going to school about a year into high school-ish, but was going to local schools in the area. So he started working in the general store and kept on working until he was about 24 years old, just doing kind of clerk work around the town. Spent some time in Portland, Maine, came back to the town and kind of continued that work, had a relationship with a local Judge Jediah Harris, and they were able to develop a partnership. Ultimately had about 4 stores in town that they owned between the 2 of them, and were able to make a good amount of money for themselves. And so he was investing, working at these stores, and was able to retire by age 38. And bought this property here. It's about 50 acres. Originally it's not anymore, but this house here is his dream home to then pursue his dream of being a gentleman farmer. So we've got like the gentleman farms kind of behind here. Obviously not operational, but originally part of his design. And this house here is the Gothic Revival style. Inspired by the primary tastemakers of the style at the time, A.J. Downing and then A.J. Davis, both Andrew Jackson. And he really studied their guides a lot. Just in his early years, Judge Jediah Harris had a lot of books, so he had access to those kind of materials, but really loved learning, even though he never was able to attend college, and studied these handbooks, these guides, and set forth on building this beautiful house here. So, come around the front here. One thing I like to show guests is we have these window screens put into this is the dining room. We'll go in there and you'll be able to actually see what it looks like from the inside. But they're just painted over. It's kind of a way of adding a little bit of privacy to the front of the house. But it's really interesting because from the inside you won't be able to see them at all. Which is really neat. I believe it started becoming popular in Baltimore, more designed for houses right on like a street, but Justin Morrill is somebody who really loved being surrounded with art in any way possible, so you'll see as we go through the house, he takes advantage of any opportunity to put a little art into it and continue to surround himself with beautiful objects.
Is the tin roof original?
No, it's not. It's been, I couldn't say how many times, but it's definitely been, had some work done to it. And you'll see from one of the bedrooms, actually, I like to point guests to this, you can kind of see where the more recent construction has happened versus some of the older tin roofing. Originally, it was actually wood shingles. So,
oh, wood. Okay.
Yeah. I believe it was about the 1880s, Justin, so he was older at this period, but, had it replaced with the tin shingles. So originally it was wood though. And so you can see this front area here is our front parlor, and he had it situated on this mound right here, which really adds to that grandness as you're looking up at it, like just the motifs on that V-shaped roofing right there. The 3-bay window all is in line with that Gothic Revival style, which when we go through the shed area back here, a lot more details about it, and you can kind of see similarities with other New England builds. And I'll say his design choices in a lot of ways are unique, but are inspired by these other styles and how they were appearing. The pink color here may seem a little unusual to us, but was his way of being a little frugal, saving a little money. Instead of going for stone, he opted for wood paneling, painting it pink to mimic sandstone. So that was his choice there. Keep walking around this way.
So where that planter is that the site of the fountain that had been?
Sorry, say that again?
The fountain, is this on the site of where a fountain had been or no? The planter.
Right there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to double check. We actually could look inside of the property design, that big picture in one of the family rooms, that actually might be able to tell us on the design in there and see if that's where it was.
Okay. Thank you.
But so, yeah, at the time, folks could have come on their carriage through here, gone through the formal entrance. And so these gardens in the front are really more of that formal gardening kind of situation where it's designed to impress guests but not necessarily be functional. And here we've got this side porch. It's just seen better days at the moment, but was an addition to the house at a point, and all these doors would then open up to this porch area, which would have been really pleasant, but hopefully in the future we'll get restored. And this part here would have been the original housing. This room here will go in as the library and was an addition that was made in 1859 along with several other aspects of the house. The house was finished just after he retired at age 38, so around 1851. And 1859 added the library, added the new kitchen, which we'll go into before going into the old kitchen, added a second floor above the shed that we're going to walk into. Believe that's actually when the house was painted, 1859 as well. So just a few things to spruce it up, make it to his liking. Originally also when he started building the house, he had not met his wife yet. So he met his wife just about when he was finishing up the house, and was able to kind of make it more into a family home and present it to her as a wedding gift finally once they were married. But originally some of the designs were more with his current status of being a bachelor, so he had to change a few things up once he was married.
Is this old, or is it just made to look?
Oh, this here?
Yeah.
This is actually a shuffleboard court.
Really?
That was added, yeah. It's interesting because, actually we have a good view of it right here, but you see that yellow house across the way?
Yes.
It's currently not owned by the state, but that was originally actually this caretaker's house, and it's still standing. And it was designed and built by James Morrill. Again, not as opulent as this one, obviously, but still you can kind of see that style he's going for. And again, that one also has like wood stove and has a shuffleboard court, like this one in the backyard of it, which is interesting. But a very nice Gothic design still. So we'll come up to here.
See the artwork.
Yes, I think that's really interesting. I had researched that to learn more about it.
Window right there.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful from the inside. And so this is actually, these two pieces right here, you'll be able to see so much clearer from the inside, but those are actually the only two stained glass windows. The rest are flash glass, which are a cheaper alternative. Doesn't show up as well on the outside, but
You know how to save a buck.
Gave the same impression.
And so did he do that for the look of it? Or was it, I think you had said on the others that there was a privacy aspect to it?
Yeah, I would say, I'd say the aesthetics were definitely important to him. He really was somebody that grew up, had humble beginnings, Vermonter, New Englander, but was well-read and really craved some of those aristocratic things in life, and lots of things that were happening in Europe he was kind of gravitating towards, just like artistically, and so of course the whole like Gothic style really is about like bringing kind of that aristocratic taste to the countryside, and so I think it's like a bit of like those two worlds meeting is how I feel like what I see in his taste is functionality, but also those aesthetics that he that he was drawn towards.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, so we'll start right in here. I like starting in here just so you can see some similar builds. So that's that Gothic Revival style in Vermont. This was just around the same period. I got those two tastemakers I was telling you about, Andrew Jackson Davis and then Andrew Jackson Downing. Andrew Jackson Downing's book, Cottage Residences, I like to call his primary source for the house here. Those designs, I believe, are from it. And so he was really pulling on that in terms of how he was designing the house.
That stone castle.
Oh, I know. That's in New York. And so you can see, if you have the means for it, doing the stone really is the best way to go for that design. But I'd say the paneling also is pretty effective. Here is like, that's pretty similar to what he has on the house here, just having the boards going the opposite direction. But the stonework's really incredible. Just not as affordable if you're looking to save a little bit of money. But, and then I'll show you all over here too. These are both his designs. That one's not, but that top one is the design of the side of the house that we just walked past. Those windows there, and then that would have been like the porch. And then the wood shed, which we just we're in right now. And then that's just the floor plan there. But again, I like to just emphasize this is somebody entirely self-taught with kind of a natural ability to illustrate and really bring a design to life, which I think is really admirable. But yeah, it's very incredible. I think I hear sitting there maybe giving a tour. We might have to merge us.
Is this, would this be like a servant's area?
Yes, so there's a servant's apartment above the woodshed, and then it goes up in there, kind of around the corner.
This is ridiculously steep.
Yeah, no, it is.
The kind of steep that you're
at. Really quick and see
Wow. Building codes.
and not giving a damn about the staff.
Merge the two.
Yeah.
You're a great tourist, huh? Sydney.
Okay, and then we'll just kind of merge us all, and then you all might hear a little repetition just for 1 second.
That's still a house.
About this room, but then we'll move on to the rest of if that sounds all right. Great. All right, we're gonna merge with these folks over here, and I'll tell you all about our new kitchen in here.
We'll go first. This is the privy. The outhouse is inside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that room right there would have been the privy. Yeah.
But inside, they have to go outside to go
Yeah.
back.
All right, so they got a little tour of here, but I'll tell you all about it before we keep making our way through the house. But this was the new kitchen, and that addition I was telling you about in 1859. Really, at that time, this whole setup would have been quite state-of-the-art. It was a nice, very nice at the time. The cast iron stove. A lot of guests are often curious why so low, but you know, they were carrying these huge cast iron pots. It made sense to have that lower stove. And then this area here would have been a warming area, so anything higher would have been challenging to lift any pot or food into. So it made a lot of sense. And then here would have had a hot water heater to then be hooked up, and then bring that hot water over to our original tin bathtub that we've got over there in the washroom. You all should check that out. Looks a bit like a coffin, but again, it was quite luxurious at the time. Then we have two dry sinks, and this one's hooked up with a water pump that goes down into the basement. And just a lot of kitchen appliances throughout the space in here, which I've been learning more and more about. This one right here would have been for making buttermilk. This would have pressed it out. That over there would have been for laundry. And then that's a pantry space over there that you all should go check into.
It's interesting they had the laundry right here.
Yeah, so this was really like a laundry room slash kitchen. It was for sure a multifunctional space. And this here, it's a washing machine. So you can lift this up here, load clothes into it, and then this is an agitator to then move everything back and forth. So again, really some modern appliances we've got in here. Which is quite incredible. But yeah, so this kitchen was added on later, you know, once he had a family here and really needed a bit of extra space, a bit of extra help. to provide for his family, but then also to start entertaining guests that were coming by once he was getting involved in politics. And once he started in the House of Representatives, if you are aware, eventually then made his way to the Senate. Once he was in the Senate, he had a house built in Washington, D.C. So as you'll see as we make our way through the house, a lot of the furnishings did come from the Washington, D.C. residence. And so it's kind of a combination of those two sides of his life. The Washington, D.C. residence was actually constructed by the same architect that worked on the Capitol building. So, but some of the items from there are even more aristocratic and kind of are fit to, be hosting congressmen and politicians. So you see a little bit more of the New England aristocratic versus the Washington, D.C. Which was further Victorian and grand, but it all meshes quite well together, just how it's been staged in the house. But you two should pop over into the pantry room over there.
So since this is a new addition, this was not actually a fireplace. Mm-hmm. So this was built specifically for all this.
Yes, exactly.
Well, this is keep flies and bugs off.
Yeah, keep the flies and bugs off. And one thing is, you can imagine this cast iron stove would have been quite hot when it was being used. So he actually set up this pantry room with this door that could close. And then we've got, if you want to look all the way in there, two kind of miniature doorways on the bottom of the floor and then top to then circulate cold air from the basement to moderate some of the temperatures in the space.
So it worked like a transom window, sort of? So it sort of worked like a transom window?
Oh, what's a transom window? Is that kind of a similar situation?
Well, it reminds me of that. A transom window is a rectangular window above a door. Yeah. And as cold air comes in, it rises and does this.
No, yeah, exactly. So like a kind of convection system to move the air around.
Sweet.
Yeah, no, it's very similar though.
Are the implements original to the house?
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah, all original. I mean, there's been some remodeling that's had to happen when the state got ownership of the property. They had to redo some of the windows and some of the walls too. But once we get into the formal area of the house, some of we had plaster that then been painted over, but the original house probably would have been all wallpapered.
Yeah. My husband has done quite a few renovations of historic buildings, and the codes are very clear, so the windows you have to get, and it's interesting the difference in where you have to go to get stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So they definitely did their best to maintain historical integrity, but some things have to have a little change in order to make it a functional space to be in.
Yeah.
I just realized that the wall is curved. That's not chunk change.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly why that design aspect. This may have just been added on, and it might have just been for flow of just helping kind of have that wider space, so that people could then be moving into that washroom versus whoever was preparing the meal. The servants.
Not having that sharp corner too.
Yeah, exactly. I think sharp corners can impede in a lot of ways, so having the circular corners can help a lot. But alright, so now did you all get a little background in the old kitchen right there?
Yeah.
This will be a little more repetition, but we'll make it brief. Okay, I'm just going to show you off one of the family portraits right here. So the property was owned by Justin Morrill until his death in 1898. Right here we've got a portrait of the whole family. So there's Justin Morrill, his wife, her name's Ruth Swan. They had several spaniels throughout the years, all named Trump. And that's they had one son who only survived to about age 2, and then Jimmy was their second son, and he lived to about age 53 or 54. And right there is Louise Swan, who was Ruth's half-sister that lived with them ever since Jimmy was only a couple years old, as like an extra help, but also because Ruth had epilepsy, so she was often sick later in her life, and so having Louise around was helpful to just somebody to take care of Jimmy, but then also just somebody to be an extra set of hands and within the family also. And there's Justin Morrill up there, there's him when he was younger, then we've got Jimmy right there with one of his horses. We don't know what the name of the horse was, but we've got the spaniel Trump in the background, and there's another portrait of Jimmy. So, and then this here would have been the old kitchen. Became quite dated once that new one was added, really wasn't used, but just that open hearth cooking, Dutch oven kind of situation in here, and then this would have been like a pantry for storage. So not a lot of space and quite simple. Also this room has, if you'll notice, quite a lot of doors, 8 doors, so having this being like an area to prepare food was didn't always flow very well. But before we get into the formal area of the house, it is all original carpeting, so we have little booties that guests can put on or slide off your shoes, and we've got some chairs y'all can put those booties on with.
Audrey, did you have anybody else check in? Because I know we checked